Everybody, welcome to the Bayou Ballers. Happy July. This July 3rd. Tomorrow to everybody. Happy July 4th. This is a precursor, but we're here to cover NBA free agency. I am Tay, your host. Tay Visuals, they call me. My boy Trey over there. How you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling good, bro. I'm repping my boys today. We
Mm-hmm.
got we got a big signing, and to help our boy Wimby, who by the way had 24 points, 10
Mm-hmm.
or 14 in 20 minutes of
All right,
play.
Charles
In that
Barkley, 24
2011
points.
series.
Points.
So
Sound like Charles Barkley just died. 24 points.
look, 24 points. And guess what? It was live. They knew how to give him the ball. We need to show
Right.
that film first day of training camp. So
I know. I just seen on your Twitter feed you were posting to say whoever this guy is sign him. That was right
sign.
after I woke up for the nap. So if I'm yelling at y'all, don't blame me. Y'all just woke up from a nap, that midday nap. Y'all know how that go.
Yeah,
But
but
how you feeling about free agency so far, man? We got some big news. We gonna you just give a I guess a broad description on the whole free agency.
yeah.
Um blanket statement, y'all. We're gonna cover the stars this free agency, and we might go live, y'all know, on our Fridays and cover more in depth the role players, small pieces, veteran minimums, things like that. But we're gonna cover the stars. But what you think about free agency so far?
Man, I thought it was good. I mean, I think our last episode we was talking about how slow it was going, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe the next day or within a few hours, it started picking up. And I will say I don't think there were any surprises, which is a surprise in itself. Usually there's like one or two free agent signings, whether it's a star or a role player that you're not expecting to go to
Mm-hmm.
that place. But I felt like, as especially with the stars that we know or we've called stars in the past, I felt like they went to places that made sense and
Mm-hmm.
might be good for them. So I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the NBA season already because I just want to see how these new pieces kind of fit in their respective areas. What about you?
I think it's been pretty good. Couple pieces. Well, some unexpected places I didn't expect them to go in.
Mm.
Couple teams have been super quiet this free agency. Like Denver, Lakers, Milwaukee, even though they just made a move right before we hopped on. Um, some contenders and some teams have been making some noise. One team, we could get to on a later date, but I'm really intrigued by is the Magic because they went out and spent some money. But
Mhm.
let's hop into our first guy, the biggest piece off the board, Paul George to the 76ers. Um, a lot of people seen this months and months ago because they had the cap space open, but they didn't see PG. We saw him as the. I think most people thought the Clippers was going to resign him, but as it kept going and said they're not close on a deal, they don't want to give him the max. We talked about this shows and shows ago, couple
Mhm.
shows, and as it kept going, they fell apart, and we had two different I guess, opinions on what the Clippers should have did. But
Mhm.
what do you feel? How do you feel on the 76ers end of this with Paul George getting Paul George?
I mean, I think the 76 to me had the money to spend, and Daryl Morey has always shown that he isn't afraid to spend money if he thinks it gets him to a championship.
Hmm.
I think you have a guy that, hey, maybe Joel Embiid doesn't have to press as hard during the regular season, so that way he can be a little more fresh in the postseason, which he hasn't been
Hmm.
during their run. And then you got a guy that's blossoming in Tyrese Maxey. So having that wing guy, another wing guy that can help on not just offense but defense, obviously a step up from Tobias Harris. Obviously, they're paying him more, like to do more than what they asked Tobias Harris to do. But even
Hmm.
still, I think you kind of have a guy at their wing position, which is
Hmm.
a prominent position in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, from the 76ers standpoint, I think they got the best free agent on the board. Whenever you can add that to a team that already has an MVP candidate, probably would have won back to back if he didn't get hurt. Then you got a young star or star potential, I should say, in Tyrese Maxey. And then they were able to keep some of their role players as well. So um, it's good for them. I think they're building. I think there's still some pieces maybe that they need to
Hmm.
kind of get handled for me to say, hey, they can really give Boston or Milwaukee or even New York at this point a run for their money. But maybe a couple more role pieces. But I think it kind of puts them in the argument of being
Hmm.
a championship contender in the Eastern Conference.
Hmm. Oh man, like on a later day, we're gonna talk about the road pieces because they did fill out with some decent road pieces. My thoughts on it from the PG side, should be a seamless fit.
Mhm.
He's basically replacing the Tobias Harris role over there, and
Yeah,
PG, I'm sure 100% of people in this world believe PG is a better player than Tobias Harris, but
mhm.
we know it's all about health with those guys. PG and B. Maxi, he's a pretty healthy guy. He's a young rising star, and I think he's should be able to take a leap next year, even with PG coming over taking some of the ball headed abilities. But I hopefully I just want to see them healthy.
Yeah,
That's all I want to see. I want to see a healthy playoffs, a healthy regular season because I hate to see when you get a new team together and they get injured in the regular season. Then we get to the playoff, we think it's all gonna work, and it's not, and they get knocked out early. And
yeah,
but when it comes to the playoff, we all gonna be like, oh, but they got the big three, but it ain't gonna work still because they don't have the chemistry, they don't have the
right.
continuity on the floor, and they just try to throw it together after injury riddled regular season. So I just hope they stay healthy because I
Mhm.
definitely think they can match up with most of anybody with that big three longest with the holes they filled it everywhere else. I still think they need a point guard though, an orchestrator, get everybody together because Tyrese is more of a we know a score first,
Mhm.
which like I said, most point guards are nowadays, but they need somebody to run the offense when oh they still have Kyle Lowry?
He's a free agent right now, so they
Okay,
can
yeah,
they can. I would assume they bring him back, but
yeah.
he's a
So
free
we
agent right now.
yeah, he can roll with the Knicks. He finish off the Villanova crew.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's how I feel about it. We can talk about the Clipper side of things. What do you think on this side?
And I think you and I we kind of talked about this on the timeline. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
think you let him go for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was a talks of PG. He really wanted to go to Golden State, and there
Yeah.
was a trade offer, pretty good trade offer in my mind, that
Mm-hmm.
included picks, it included Wiggins, it included Chris Paul, which obviously you knew there was going to be a reconstruction of that deal. They weren't going to guarantee a $30 million contract for him. And you had your pick of, do you want Jonathan Kuminga or do you want Moses Moody?
Nope. No. No.
So
No. Kaminga. No Kaminga.
so
Kaminga's
Kuminga,
not leaving in that deal.
but he was in it.
I
And
wanted
he
to
wanted.
tag you in something that I seen too. It was Ramona Shelberg and
Mhm.
Kendra Andrews who cover the Warriors. They said they was not willing to give up Jonathan Kaminga. And
Yeah,
as
well,
you know, you
they're
say
looking to
Lawrence
give him
Frank
up
wanted
for
more
they
picks.
they're looking to give him up for Laurie Markkinen.
That's two
So
different players.
so
Laurie
it's
Marketed younger.
hey,
That's two
but it's
different players.
PG. And the thing is with Kaminga, I mean, Kaminga and PG are kind of, I mean, Kaminga's obviously a younger, probably more raw prospect
Hmm.
in that way,
Hmm.
but when he finds his game, that's a player you can see.
Hmm.
And if I'm offering you something, you don't let a player go for nothing. But I feel like the Clippers, they hold rivalries really to heart. They always have, whether it was the Lakers, Kings, Suns, or even now the Warriors. They don't trade in conference pretty much. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I understand that to a degree, but I feel like you owe it to your franchise, especially if you're trying to still compete or promote to your fans that you're still trying to compete. You got the new arena coming up. You got to fill those seats.
Hmm.
Obviously, you don't want to put too much on Kawhi. Obviously, you want to keep him healthy. You re-signed James Harden, so maybe you feel like, hey, with James Harden, hopefully Kawhi is healthy. We can put guys around that duo, and then we can, at the at bare minimum, we can be what we've been with Kawhi and PG.
Exactly.
So I don't
That's
know
the point
exactly,
right there.
but that's the thing. But that's just me assuming.
Mhm.
I doubt that's what the Clippers are actually thinking. I think they just kind of took the approach of, we don't want to go to Golden State. Whatever he decides to do, he can do, but we're not trading them in house.
Yeah,
And
I think they made their mind up that they wasn't signing them and
yep.
they wasn't going to do the Warriors no favors by taking crumbs from the Warriors.
Hmm.
Andrew Wiggins, who had one of the worst seasons of his career, Chris Paul, who's I shell him himself. They did. Russell Westbrook did resign back with the Clippers, even though there's some trade rumors saying the Nuggets want him, things like that. So, and James Harden is the point guard. James Harden played with Chris Paul already.
Mhm.
I don't know if they interested in that. Which and Andrew Wiggins, I believe he's making north of 30 million,
Mhm.
and Chris Paul was probably going to make a good amount with if he got traded there. So if you're gonna take those guys, that's basically going to make the combined money that PG was going to be making. There's no reason to take them back. You're going to be approaching that second apron. It's going to be hard to make any trades, stack up salaries, and like I said, they lost in the first round with those guys. Even though Kawhi was hurt, he
Yeah.
might be hurt again. This team can make the playoffs in the first round with this
But,
roster. So
yeah,
that's
the
how I
thing
look
is
at
that
it.
though, but also how I look at it is you gave up so much to get Paul George, and so
Yeah, but they know that's 5 years ago.
to lose him
That's
for nothing when you gave it so much, you don't own your future for the next 3 or 4 years.
mm-hmm.
Kawhi's not getting any younger or any healthier, so you're gonna kind of be at that point. By the time Kawhi's done and James Harden's done, you're gonna be the same old Clippers, probably worse, going back to what you used to be. But you
Mm-hmm.
can't capitalize off of that because you don't have any picks in the war chest. So
So
I've
you
always
basically say you would have took anything from him. No,
I would have taken. I
anything
think. I
if he
think
was
Wiggins.
walking.
I think Wiggins. I think Chris Paul because you want. They wanted a point guard. They actually offered a contract to Chris Paul, so it's probably why they didn't feel like they needed to trade for him. But he just decided to obviously go to San Antonio with an opportunity to start. So I think you get a young wing that can help defensively with Andrew Wiggins. I think Andrew Wiggins needs a change of scenery. I think that time that he missed in Golden State kind of I don't know what was going on with him, but it
You
definitely missed him
rather
by
let me
me.
ask you this: you rather Derrick Jones Jr. at 9 million per year, or
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Wiggins at what 35 million per year at this point in their career, coming
I'd
off
rather
last season?
I'd rather Andrew Wiggins.
Oh man, that's why we fall apart
Me
at.
personally.
That's
Me
that's
personally.
wild. That's a wild statement right there to me.
Because
35 million on Andrew Wiggins.
I don't think you have the playmakers that can make Derrick Jones what he was in Dallas.
Well, they
Like
got
I
two
don't
playmakers: Kawhi, Harden,
eh,
Luca, Kyrie.
Kawhi's more of just on offense, he's just gonna score. And on
Hmm.
defense, he's gonna play defense.
Okay, all right, we
So
can agree to disagree there, but good job, Clippers. Don't help out no rivals in your division. Don't take nobody scraps because Warriors was desperate to move
you
to change this team. Don't help them, Clippers. Good job, Steve Ballmer. Stay under the tax. Now, speaking of the Warriors, we're gonna talk. They've been making some good moves though. I ain't gonna lie. They didn't peeled off after the PG. I ain't gonna say debacle because they was coming out of left field anyway.
yeah.
But after the PG, the Warriors made some good moves. But we're gonna talk about Klay leaving and going to the Dallas Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see the fit? It was between the Mavericks and the Lakers. Um, 3 year, 50 million as well.
Yeah, I like it for him. I think in the sense of from an offensive standpoint, excuse me, he gets to be around two guys that command a lot from the defense.
Hmm.
And so, we saw a lot in the NBA finals where that pass was getting kicked to the corner or at the top, and those guys couldn't knock it down. And
Especially my boy I just mentioned, Derrick Jones Jr.
yeah, and having Klay kind of come in, like he had a down year last year, and the down year for him was 18 points a game, 39% from three.
Yep.
And now maybe not having all the pressures of being in a contract year and trying to prove your work to a team you felt like you had already proven something to, kind of a fresh start. It could be big for him personally, kind of getting back to the Klay from an offensive stand. I don't think we'll ever get Klay what he was on the defensive side of the ball, just between the ACL and Achilles and age. I don't think
Hmm.
we're gonna get that. But I think offensively he'll help them. I do think, or at least I'm trying to figure out defensively how the Mavericks will be in the sense of Luca, Kyrie, and at this stage in his career, Klay, they don't want to really do it for you defensively.
Hmm.
You got PJ Washington, you got Derek Lively, but now you don't really have a perimeter guy to really kind of take on the opposing
Najee
teams.
Marshall.
That's perimeter guy. Yeah,
They
but he's
signed
not going to
Najee
start.
Marshall.
But he's
Hmm.
not going to start. So I'm thinking your starting lineup because
Hmm.
your projected starting lineup, I think, would be Luka, Kyrie, Klay, PJ Washington, Derek Lively.
Hmm. And
Derek's
I think that's a good starting five. But like you said, Clay has definitely taken a step back defensively.
defensively.
But I
Yeah.
think him guarding threes is way better than him guarding twos and ones. And
I agree.
I think Kyrie is fine defensively. It's just I know Luka is pretty bad, but I
He's
think
gonna have to
Kyrie is
try this
fine.
year.
Huh?
He's gonna have to try this year, Luca.
Yeah, he's bad on defense. Like, but if he could just try, like we saw the game after he got called out so badly about just getting blew by the game they won, I
Mhm.
believe. I think it was game 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried. He kept people in front of him. You're gonna get blown by a couple here or there. But you can't get blown by every single time
Right.
somebody is set. I think it was like 65 to 70% blow bys when he was guarding somebody. That can't happen.
Yeah.
That's 3 out of 4 times most of the
Yeah.
time. So you got to put in some effort. Kyrie's fine, and Clay, I think him going threes, fours, guys who is not as quick no more. He
Mhm.
can't guard the remember because he was lining up with Kyrie and
Yeah.
doing a pretty good job. Kyrie just a tough shot maker. But he was doing a pretty good job on ones throughout the Golden State dynasty. So I think you keep him on bigger wings, slower
Mhm.
guys, not guys who are too laterally fast, and he'll be just fine. But I think it was a good pickup. One thing I saw that I was listening to his dad
Mhm.
because his dad, his dad played for the Lakers. He was pretty
Yeah.
disappointed about because he said him and his son always talk about who he'd play for if he didn't play for the Warriors. Just the talk people have all the
Yeah.
time, like I you'll play for the Lakers. But then he said they was talking to each other and he said, yeah, the Mavs and the Lakers don't want me. And he was saying something. He went to convincing him to go to the Lakers, and he sounded really like he really wanted to cry. I ain't gonna lie, his dad.
Yeah.
But I found that to be very interesting. But I was like, he must. Then another report came out of something like he wanted like a new start, a fresh start, or something like that,
Mhm.
and going with the Lakers was something. But I took that as pressure from Clay. He didn't want that pressure of being there in LA and being
Yeah.
on it, really being on that team with LeBron. Because the pressure of playing on the Lakers, matter of fact, the pressure is going to be everything is new,
Mhm.
especially Bronny. You got that sideshow, you got JJ Redick, you got LeBron holding up all his
Mhm.
mass energy, and then you got AD, and then you got to be that guy who's going to get all the blame if you
Right.
miss that shot when LeBron kicks it out to you. So when you go 0 for 10 in that Kings game, that it's like kind of swept under the rug. But if you go 0
Yeah.
for 10 on a LeBron team in a playing game, man, you gotta be on. You might not want to get on social media
Right.
because that's gonna be crazy. But that's what I felt. But I think it's gonna be a good fit for the Mavericks, and they
Mhm.
should be contending again next year.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there was a number of things. I think, and this is the Lakers not having their coaching staff set
Yep.
was one of those things. They mentioned the whole property or the state tax thing, but
I'm
I'm
not
like,
worrying
bro,
about that,
like
right?
I live in Texas. They get their money back. Like this
Hmm.
whole the no state tax, all that bullshit. They get it in ways. I
They get
assure
their
you.
money
So
back
so
from a
it's
Texas resident, y'all. Y'all heard it. They get their money back.
they
They
get it
all
back.
do, just like
And then,
Florida with all them damn tolls.
but yeah, and then I think I think they even tried to do a sign and trade with the Lakers, and Golden State declined that. So
Yeah,
once I heard that, I figured that
I
it
see why
probably
they
wasn't as
declined that.
important.
Hmm.
Yeah, it probably wasn't as important for Klay to go to. I think if he said, "Hey, I really want to go to LA," they would
Yeah,
have
they would
found
have
a
did.
way to do that. But I
Yeah,
think to your point, I think he wanted Dallas, and now there's probably some level of pressure
yeah.
just because they made it to the finals, but they did make it to the finals as a fifth seed. So I don't think it's going to be as much one being
It's
on the
not
Lakers brand, but also playing with LeBron. Because it's like we talk
right.
about the Lakers having championship aspirations, but we know that roster right now. Like, yeah, we'll see it when we get there. If you add Klay to that, now we can start talking about some realistic
Hmm.
expectations of that being a title contending team. And if you don't play, and what we've been seeing is kind of decline is what it is, you're gonna have to get that fired, dog. And there's
Hmm.
no Steph or even Draymond antics to shade you from what's coming your way. So
Right. But we'll see, man. Clay's new chapter. Hopefully, he closes his career out with the Mavs because 3 year deal. It sounds like this the end for Clay.
I
These three
understand.
years. But I'm gonna move on to your guys, San Antonio Spurs. We know we're
Yeah.
gonna keep it with stars, but since we got a Spurs resident over here, we're gonna talk about the Chris Paul pickup. 1 year, $11 million deal.
Mhm.
And $11 million, that's a key number right here for y'all, my guy,
Yeah.
because it is under the number of the mid-level exception. Also, for Chris Paul, it is if the season goes well, if at the trade deadline he wants a buyout from you guys. He did what he
Mhm.
needed to do for y'all. He helped the team out, but he wants to go to a contender at the end of the year. Any team he can sign to any team now if he gets bought out because he doesn't make more than a mid-level exception. So that
Mhm.
$11 million number is a key number for Chris Paul. Y'all could trade it easily, but if he gets bought out, he could go to any contender he wants. So that's y'all gotta watch out for that during this season. But how do you feel about the signing?
Yeah, I feel good. And we have been talking a lot about the whole Trey Young thing, and from
Mm-hmm,
what I've been told, like that's still on the horizon, but maybe just not in the near future. But the big thing is Wemby needed a point guard and
mm-hmm,
someone that saw the game a certain way, could get him in better spots. But I think even for some of our players like Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, like they needed someone that can put them in a position. And Trey Jones did a pretty good job last year, but when he got inserted into the starting lineup, then the bench kind of went by the wayside. So I think now having a guy like Chris Paul come in, he's going to be kind of that player coach on the
mm-hmm,
court for him. I was surprised. I think we had mentioned Chris Paul possibly entertaining the Spurs. And I think what I said was I don't see him wanting to do another kind of OKC stint where he goes to a young team, is really there to kind of help build that locker room up, make them
mm-hmm,
kind of ready to win, that type of deal. I didn't see him doing it. So it really was a surprise to me that he even considered going to the Spurs and signed pretty quickly. Like it wasn't one of those things where he went on a bunch of meetings and then
mm-hmm,
decided Spurs. I think they pretty much got to him the first night. And, they said, he really wanted the opportunity to start, didn't think he would have that on maybe some contending teams where he maybe got offered more money
mm-hmm,
for his services. But having a chance to play, and trust me, he can play for our team. It's not anybody that I'm saying there's no way he should be starting over them right now. But the big thing, like you said, he's not a star player at this stage of his career. I think he was a pickup to support our star player, Victor Wembanyama. And
mm-hmm,
as he grows his offensive game, I think having somebody like Chris Paul, who's arguably one of the best leaders in the sport, is going to be big. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, maybe playing team. I'm not sure what Chris Paul adds. Everybody was showing kind of the percentages of when
mm-hmm.
he joins a team, and I mean the percentages jumped a lot higher when he was a lot younger.
I
So
was about to say they talking about that doesn't correlate to the age Chris Paul is
right,
now.
but
Um,
I'm looking forward. I'm just looking forward to seeing what it could be and seeing. Obviously, I want Wimpy to do well and see how the pickup does for him. But I want to see how it does for some of our other players as they grow into their game, and then we try to start to figure out who's in, who's out, who do we need to bring in type for the foreseeable future.
okay. Um, with this pickup for the Spurs, basically agree with most things you said. I can see the Spurs like being one of those teams, kind of like the Rockets last year, who jumped
Mm-hmm.
out to a good start, but
Yeah.
kind of levels off as
Mm-hmm.
the season comes. I can see them getting out to like a 6-3 start, 8-4, 8-5, and people
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, the Spurs. But then I can see them kind of level off, tape off, and then fall off kind of as the season gets deeper in. But we
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to see Wimby contending for another defensive player of the year. And if they're, dare I say, a little playing team, if they get a playing spot, vie for the 8th or 7th seed,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you might get a couple MVP Wemby votes because that guy's amazing. He just gonna take another step this year in the NBA. So and Chris Paul is just gonna help that. Hopefully, we see about 3 alleys a game, and I think we might see a Pop might drop an alley hoop first play of the game for them. That might
Yeah,
be
I can see
something
that.
I can see that coming down this year. So excited for the Spurs fan base, man. Y'all still got to make some moves to move me, but I could definitely see y'all starting off the season hot. Um Let's get to another should we say star? It was a big contract, but we're gonna call this KCP to the Magic.
Mm-hmm.
3 years, 66 million. The Denver Nuggets lose another key piece back-to-back seasons.
Mm-hmm.
First it was Bruce Brown, now it's KCP. And reports were Denver offered a similar offer, I think like a couple mil less,
Yeah.
but KCP just chose the Magic. They really needed a shooting guard. And I'm separating that. I'm not saying shooting guard. I mean someone who can shoot
Shoot.
the
Yeah.
ball. Someone who can shoot the ball. They really struggled in the playoffs, shooting the ball. Um, he's gonna be put next to Caro, Franz Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
And they still need a guard. Chris Paul could have been a good spot for them. They still
Yeah.
need a point guard as well. So, but how do you feel about this? 22 million a year for the Magic, and they've been signing their own guys.
Yeah.
If it's not their own guys, KCP the only guy I think they got outside of their team. So
Mm-hmm.
they re-signed Gary Harris to play behind him, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Wagner. So they running it back just with KCP. What do you think of the signing?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, kind of similar to the San Antonio Spurs, but kind of even at a deeper level. You already got a young team, made the postseason, had a pretty good run, and now you get a star role player, a veteran, a two-time champion that can kind of come in and teach these guys how to get to that next step. I guess I would say similar to what KCP did with Denver, just kind of coming in what he learned from LA and teaching them how to get to that next step. And so you're hoping he can do that with Franz, with Paulo. They needed shooting bad. I mean, it was probably the worst shooting backcourt collectively that I saw in
Mm-hmm.
the playoffs this year, and it probably was the difference between them winning that series versus the Cavs and them losing, which they
Definitely
ultimately
was.
lost.
Their
And
defense is suffocating though.
yes,
Their
yes,
defense sucks.
and so
Man.
I'm thinking about that. Let's say Suggs
And
stays on as a
KCP.
starting point guard. Like Suggs and
He
KCP,
will.
that can be really good. I think that takes a little bit of pressure off of Suggs to be a scorer because I
Mm-hmm.
think he's more natural as a playmaker offensively, and then as a defensive guy, he kind of did that a lot in college at Gonzaga. So maybe he can get more to a natural role. You got maybe Cole Anthony. He sticks around and he can kind of come in and be that guy off the bench that's the scorer at the point guard position. Looks
He
like they're
definitely
moving off
is.
of Markel Fultz, but
Yeah, he's the odd man out.
but I think I would like to see them maybe bring in kind of an orchestrator, but a guy that could maybe put some points on the board. I've talked a lot about D'Lo coming there, and people are
Mm-hmm.
like nah, D'Lo, like he's strengths in the playoffs. I'm like, bro, like y'all made it to the playoffs the first time in like 5 years. Like let's keep it
I
here.
don't I don't know if they would go for D'Lo because he's
They
just
might not,
a
but
defensive liability, but I don't
but
know. He could be a good fit there. They need the
yeah,
shooting.
yeah, because I was
I
gonna
don't know if
say,
he'll be willing to coming off the bench over there. He's in a
well,
contract year.
he could
So
start, and this is what I
over
mean by
who?
he could start because he could start over Suggs in the sense
No,
of
they not letting that happen.
because KCP and Franz is pretty decent defensively as a wing. And so if you have a guy in D'Lo that his main job is going to be kind of getting some of these guys the ball and making an open three,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he can do that. Obviously, we talk about that Lakers slash LeBron teammate pressure, and I think some of that has gotten to him. Whereas I think when he was, this could be similar to his stint in Brooklyn, where he was just asked to do the little things, and it made that young team kind of get them over the little edge, get them a playoff spot. So
Mm-hmm.
I could see somebody like that. But look, who knows what Suggs is doing in the offseason. Maybe he's working on the offensive game,
He
working on
definitely
being a better
is.
playmaker. So and obviously with Markel Fultz out of the way, now it's like okay, like I definitely got a green light in this starting lineup. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested to
And
see what they do, but I'd like to see them add another guard
mm-hmm.
maybe, but we'll see what they decide. Do they have the money to do it? So we'll see.
I don't think they're gonna add another guard. I think because they just re-signed Gary Harris. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think that's gonna be their 3 guard rotation.
Right.
KCP, well, 4 KCP, Suggs, Cole Anthony, and um
Harris.
Gary Harris. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Franz Wagner is a good playmaker. He's not too much of a shooter. So KCP complements both of them, Suggs and
Mm-hmm.
Wagner in that starting lineup. And I think they just won't start D'Lo because if they make that trade, they want to roll with their young talent. Their young talent got them to the
Yeah.
playoffs, and they want to keep rewarding those guys. I think they see Wagner, Mancaro, and Suggs as their three cornerstones. So I
Hmm.
think they're gonna keep rolling with that. But I think it's a good pickup for the Magic, a safe contract, tradable contract if you want to get out of it. If you have a bad season, the next season, you can stack that up and probably go get you a Trey Young if he's out there. You could throw
Yeah.
in KCP and hey, maybe Franz Wagner and get I don't know, get Trey Young or something like that with a couple picks. But some more recent big ones, we're gonna go to some superstars right here. Donovan Mitchell
Hmm.
re-signed with the Cavs finally. Um Kenny Atkinson, new coach. I want to know the Lakers don't have no assistant coaches. Do the Cavs have assistant coaches?
We haven't heard about the Cavs assistant coaches. I think they do, and the Lakers just
Right.
hired two.
Yeah, they
So
just hired two.
yeah.
They don't have nobody coach their summer league team, so that's crazy. But they say we're gonna get robbed about that since you don't want sign nobody, you go coach her. But Donovan Mitchell, 3-year max contract deal and 150 for back
Hmm.
to the Cavs. How do you feel about the deal? And do you think Darius Garland, which weeks ago, if
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell resigned, but it's kind of been quiet down so far about that
Hmm.
Darius Garland requesting a trade.
Yeah.
Do you like the extension?
I love the extension, and I think it kind of puts to bed all these rumors of Donovan going to New York and that type of thing. So I think now the Cavs can really focus on what they want to do. I think when they traded for Donovan Mitchell, they're not sure how comfortable he is in a new system, new city yet. So you
Hmm.
don't necessarily want to make a bunch of moves for a guy that's going to leave you high and dry. So I think now that he's extended, you might start to see Kobe Altman be a little bit more aggressive,
Yep.
and getting maybe some guys to Cleveland. I think they got a good little core, and I think Kenny Atkinson being there obviously is already changing some things. Like Jared Allen was like a guy we always heard in trade talks. Kenny Atkinson gets there and he's like, nah, that's my guy. I don't want him to
Right.
go. And you mentioned Darius Garland. We heard a lot of smoke about, hey, if Donovan Mitchell um,
Extends.
resigns, he's going
Mhm.
to want to get traded, and maybe one of the reasons why it took so long for us to hear about this extension is maybe they
Uh,
started having those conversations
mhm.
of what that looks like, and like, hey, bro, like how can this work with us?
Right.
Because
Garland
right
probably
now,
is like got a new coach,
yeah,
probably new offense. Kenny's going to implement a new offense. Hey, it might look different. Give it another year, and you can see after
yeah.
that.
And then, I mean, the trade market for point guards is kind of cool. The Pelicans got DeJounte Murray. The Spurs get Chris Paul, so they're not going to be in the market to trade for Darius Garland. The Lakers might not want to do it, even though I don't think the Laker Cleveland relationship would even warrant that. You got Sacramento, where De'Aaron Fox hasn't signed a contract extension yet. So now
They tried.
everybody's kind of focusing
Mhm.
their attention to 2025. You still
Yep.
got Trey Young available. So I just feel like maybe the trade market for Darius Garland has cooled anyway. And this might be a good opportunity to say, hey man, let's give Kenny a shot. And if we work well, we work well. And if we don't, maybe we're talking about trade deadline, maybe next offseason when you kind of have a refresh of rosters.
Mhm.
And you got some teams like San Antonio, Sacramento, um, maybe even the Magic at that point, maybe looking to upgrade that point guard position. So,
Okay. Um, I like the deal. 3 years, 150, good for Cleveland. Lock it up. You get 3 more years of them. At a good contract with the cap going up, $50 million.
mhm.
That's going to be tradable as well. That's how I kind of look at the contracts like with superstars. And I'm not sure if this one had a player option as well, but I kind of look at the contracts for superstars because superstars move way too often, and they
Yeah.
don't move by free agency no more. They sign the deal, they get the money now and find a destination later. But it's
Mhm.
an all around good deal for Cleveland. They keep their star. They got their point guard, Darius Garland. Hopefully, they can make it work. I don't know if they will with the two small guards, and none of them are defensive minded. So that's why Evan Mobley progression is vital. and
Yeah.
Jared at keeping those two bigs back there to help those guys when they get beat is gonna be good. I love the Max Strus side of last year. I think he fits perfectly over there. He's a good solid defender. Can knock down threes. Can put the ball on the floor, but doesn't need the ball as much to make to get his buckets. But
Mm-hmm.
moving on from them, this is gonna be our last topic. Because I got a roll. LeBron James, 2 years, signs the max, 104 million, but they had some reports come out after about he might take a couple bill less if to get them under the second apron. That every
Mm-hmm.
owner dreads right now. Every owner is running from the second apron right now. But LeBron doesn't take the pay cut to get the mid-level exception. He gave the Lakers a few days to get his targets. All his targets are off the board, except for DeRozan. But Klay Thompson, Harden, Valanciunas, all them guys are gone. Those are names that were put out that LeBron would take a pay cut to get those guys to them. And the Lakers, they were working hard for Klay. It took about a day and a half to Klay chose, and then working hard. And I think after that, Rob Pelinka probably went to LeBron and said, "Yeah, listen, we're not gonna be able to get nobody. That deal not out there. So hey, sign this contract." And he has a no trade clause. The
Mm-hmm.
only second guy to leave with a no trade clause. Bradley Beal was the first. Don't know what Washington was doing right that side though, but yes, 2 year 104 no trade clause player option.
Mm-hmm.
So year to year deal for LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? Why do you think LeBron got a no trade clause? You think you don't trust the front office? Because it's only a 1 year deal,
Well,
basically.
I think that's part of that
Mm-hmm.
because we truly don't know what the Lakers will be,
All
and
right.
that's because let's say he didn't have the trade the no trade clause, and things are looking a little daunting for the Lakers a little bit after Christmas, right before All-Star break. Rob Pelinka has been a guy, and I can't remember who mentioned it. They said I think it was Perk. He said LeBron wants one thing, the Lakers want another. LeBron's thinking about the now, the Lakers are thinking about the future. So if
Mm-hmm.
you know that Rob Pelinka in the back of his mind, maybe in the forefront of his mind, is thinking about what the Lakers' future looks like, he wouldn't hesitate to trade you. And he has the Lakers brand behind him to
Nah,
be
I
able to
don't
do that.
think you. I don't think for the sake of the Lakers' reputation, a
Mm,
GM you
I
can't trade LeBron out of
yeah,
just we have the bad season. LeBron's up for sale without talking to damn near the ambassador of the league.
yeah, but I
You would not
trust,
get nobody like
but
to the
I
Lakers after
trust,
that.
yeah, but out of any of the 30 teams, I trust the Celtics and the Lakers to get behind that. Remember how everybody thought nobody would ever sign with the Celtics again after what happened with Isaiah Thomas? And they got whoever they wanted. They were able to make trades.
Oh,
They were able to
Danny
get
Ainge
guys
gone
to
though. That was
leave.
Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge. That was
Yeah,
Danny Ainge.
but
We know him. And Rob Pelinka, he's been low. Well, I ain't gonna say because I don't know, but when Magic was there, it was like Magic was like he's talking behind me on my back in the
right.
office.
The
Things like
agent.
he's never in the office. Yeah, like and he come from that agent way. So a lot of people don't look
Well,
at Rob as he's doing a good job. Um, he's had a bad offseason this year. I'll say that.
yeah.
I thought he had a good offseason last year. At
Mm-hmm.
least pre-agency, because that was the year he traded for Rui Hachimura for 3 second rounders, flipped Russell Westbrook for D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley,
Mm-hmm.
and Vanderbilt. Only Russell at one first. You got out of that. So I thought he did decent there. But this all season like just been super bad. The Dan
Mm-hmm.
Hurley miss, the JJ Redick hire. I'm just saying how they
Yeah.
went down. Um, no assistant coaches. Like you got to get it together. You didn't sign nobody.
Yeah.
You re-signed Max. That's decent. And you kind of just stuck right now because you have a lot of players on your roster. You haven't got no new talent. You still need a
Mm-hmm.
big. I think you still need to trade D'Angelo Russell. Maybe you could go into the season with him and trade it at the deadline. But
Yeah.
LeBron said, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let me sign a deal. I'm taking the
Mm-hmm.
max. I gave
Yeah,
you a
but to
chance
that
to go
point.
get somebody. And
Yeah,
you
but to that
failed.
point, I think he just decided to exert his control.
Right.
And if you didn't give him the no trade clause, he was a free agent. Could have left anywhere he wanted to go.
Right.
And so you give him that. and now he's on a year-to-year deal, still trying to navigate exactly what y'all are doing or planning to do. And in the way and again, I think he saved himself from a Rob Pelinka who, if he
Debacle,
has an if
huh?
he has an opportunity that he feels like is good enough, and he's like I said, he has the Laker brass behind him. Like Genie
Mhm.
would sign off, and even if they fire him, just like Danny Ainge ended up leaving Boston, and then all is forgiven. Like those are the only two teams in my mind that can recover from things like that. It took the
Mhm.
Spurs 10 years for people to want to kind of come there, and that's because they have a French alien. You know what I mean? So. Um,
Let me
I'm
ask
I'm glad he signed though. I'm glad he took the max too. Like
let
man,
me let me ask you yes or no question. If Rob
uh,
Pelinka gets fired from the Lakers, do you think he'll get another GM job?
no, no, that
Uh,
was that
okay.
was Kobe's. That was
Okay.
Kobe's, and I think he
Okay.
bought time because Kobe passed. Like that's
Okay. That's what
oh,
that's what I'm saying.
no,
But
he's done.
I think we'll be in the same position next year as LeBron B's a free agent. He's gonna have a player option. He's gonna opt out, and he might say again, "Hey, if we could get somebody, hey, I might take a pay cut. If I'm on this year-to-year basis, if we could get this guy, I might take a pay cut. I'll give y'all a couple days. If not, I'm gonna sign another 1+1 max money.
Mhm.
Um,
A much
but
better free agency class. I think a much better class to warrant taking a pay
mhm,
cut for. To be quite
it
honest
is,
with
it is. But you guys, I'm pressed for time right now. I'm sorry we
you.
have to make this short and sweet, but I gotta go get baby from daycare. But like, comment, and subscribe, you guys, to the Bayou Ballers Pod. We'll be back Friday, bro.
Yes, sir.
Friday, we might go live, y'all. So tune into that. But any last words for him, brother?
Nah, man, just been a good free agency. Obviously, there's going to be a few more signings. Not the big dominoes have gotten out of the way. We're hearing a lot about trades, like the Laurie
Mm-hmm.
Marketing trade. Brandon Ingram's still on the horizon. Everybody's trying to get a center nowadays,
Walker
so it's
Kessler.
going so it's going to be interesting to see all the other dominoes that fall, and hopefully some by the time we record again on Friday.
All right, y'all. By the time, hopefully, everything done, that'll be day 5 of free agency. So once again, Bayou Ballers, you guys. Y'all have a good day. And happy 4th of July for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.